I got my first Supra.
We have a ton of updates. What's up guys, Ryan Turk here at Race Service. We got Dominic over here. Dom has been doing all the incredible work on the Formula Supra. So the last time that you guys saw on Blackout was that I had the motor, Dom was doing all the cage work, it was pretty much all finished. We're kind of figuring out what was next. So we have the biggest thing that came out so phenomenal was we have the engine and the drivetrain in the car. So all we're waiting for right now is the drive shaft shop carbon drive shaft to complete from the transmission to the rear end. So we have a really awesome motor plate that was designed by Steph Papadakis and cut down in San Diego by OMD by Ferrari Steve. So big thanks to those guys down there for knocking that out in record time for us. We still have a few more key details to get machined from them, like the motor plate brackets, which Dom designed in CAD, which are coming out all sick. And then we have another motor mount that will be up front here to hold the front of the engine onto the front subframe. Everything's coming out awesome. We got the WiseFab on the car just to basically get a feel for how it's gonna work. So a lot of the stuff that we have in the car right now is kind of just temporary, kind of just like test fitting, getting parts on the car, figuring out if there's any problem solving that has to happen before we put it on for good. We got the Hollinger RD6S transmission. So it was a phenomenal relationship between Hollinger and Tilton, and they both stepped up to help out on the project with helping supply what we needed for our needs with a custom flywheel from Hollinger, custom clutch from Tilton. Just designing, with the motor plate thickness, the quill shaft length, and getting just all of that situation handled. So it's kind of off of my shoulders and Dominic's shoulders, and we just had to give them some basic measurements to sort everything out with the Judd engine and get everything like that together. So that was really cool and helped us move forward a lot more quickly than anticipated. If we go around to the back, we got our rear WiseFab suspension kit on. We just put this on last night just to test fit everything. Now we're using all titanium hardware on the rear suspension, the rear subframe, and the rear differential. So trying to lighten everything up with reasonable cost to weight savings. So we thought that was a good investment to replace all of the steel heavy hardware with some titanium for the rear suspension, which is cool. We have our Radium 6-gallon fuel cell in. Dom just got this in about 2 nights ago. This is the base of our rear crash bar. So the crash bar will come off of here, and we don't have our body yet, so we're not gonna build a crash bar just yet until we get a proper measurement with the body on the car, and we can figure out how far back this has to go. The other thing that we're doing is running an 8.8 rear end, because there's a ton of different gear ratios. It's about 15 to 20 pounds lighter than a quick change, and we can run a clutch type LSD where we can get different ramp angles and really dial in the differential to how we want. So pumped on all this, like everything is really coming together. It's just me and Dom working on it. So it's not coming together as fast as if you had 2 phenomenal fabricators / machinists like Dominic. And me, I'm just basically an assembly guy who's trying to hold the camera to bring you guys a ton of footage and really cover this build in detail and technically. So Dom's usually doing pretty much 90% of the work, and I am trying to help him work efficiently and just do whatever I can assembly-wise. So making sure parts are showing up, things are ordered, dealing with the partners, and making sure everybody's satisfied and this thing's coming together. So I'm hoping a few more weeks, ×2, maybe we'll have this thing running. Another really cool thing that we were focused on was trying to make the frame rails the lowest point in the car so that have ground clearance no matter what. In that regard, it was just nice to be able to get everything tucked up and out of the way, just so we knew we can, when we put the rear under tray on the car, it's gonna lay just super nice and flat. So the lowest point is actually this portion right here on the front subframe, and then the 2 ears in the back here on the rear subframe. And beyond that, Dom did a lot of work to this front subframe, which there was so much extra material here and another pickup point, but we trimmed all that off because they added all that complexity and structure into the front subframe because the stock motor mounts were on the front subframe, where we're running a motor plate that's bolted into the chassis. So it takes all the weight off of the front subframe. So we're able to trim out all of that structure and clean this thing up. Dom put another nice brace on. This is all brand new. All this stuff is all custom. You know, we probably saved a couple pounds, nothing major because it's already aluminum anyways, but it just makes it a little bit easier to work with because now we have more space in different areas for things like the headers. Which was a big thing because there's not a lot of space between the frame rail and the engine, especially with the steering shaft coming through and the accessories on the side of the motor here. So we're actually working with this company called Ice Engine Works, and they make these blocks like Legos, essentially, to help design your header. We can now write down exactly what bends we need out of Inconel 625, go to one of these companies, have them bend it for us, and then Dom will follow his guidelines of what this design is and make the header based off of this, which is awesome. So hopefully it makes it more efficient, saves on costs. Inconel, from what I found out, it's just very expensive, very expensive, and hard to work with as well, just based on how thin it is. The welding process, everything about it is very pricey and time consuming. But we're committed. We're gonna make these headers out of Inconel. It's gonna be sick, it's gonna sound sick, and stoked on it. So Dom's been crushing this entire project so far and looking forward to next steps.
So these are the motor plate brackets that I designed. The way this engine's set up, it actually has to be done in 3 pieces. So there's the main motor plate, which adapts the motor to the transmission. So these are the actual mounts that mounts the plate to the chassis. So these are going to be machined by Steve OMD. It's going to be 6061 aluminum. And then I also have a front motor brace. This one's going to bolt to the bottom of the engine and tie that into the subframe. So it'll be additional support to the actual motor plate.
So just to elaborate on what Dom was saying, give you guys a little more context, these are the temporary brackets that Dom had made just to get the engine fitted in a car. And then what you just saw is what Dom drew up in CAD. So that will replace these brackets right here on both sides of the motor plate. And then the front bracket. So this is our center lock kit. So it's basically just a hub that bolts to the hub. We're gonna have these custom drive pins made that will bolt in here. So this will sit on top basically. So the drive pins protrude past here, and the wheel would fit on that and lock itself in place. Dom's gonna make some custom center lock nuts for this thing and really tie it all together with our Brembo brake package, and it's gonna be sweet. So this thing is coming together. There's still a lot of elements to sort out, but and a lot of parts to sort out, but one step at a time, we're plugging away. You got a strap or something? It's not like it accelerates, I'll just put it towards the front.
This thing's gonna be sick with a side shifter.
All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are as pumped on this thing as I am, because this thing it's literally taking up all my time. It's all I can think about, besides my wife, okay? Shannon, don't get mad. I have a house back home, I've been away from my wife, and it's all for this thing, so I'm really happy how it's coming together so far, and you can see how much time and effort is getting put into this. So it's gonna be top notch by the time it's finished, and really stoked how it's been coming out so far. And we have a ton of stuff on order and parts waiting to show up. So we'll have all that stuff right after the holiday to hopefully just crank on this thing for another 30 to 60 days and have her finished up and ready to fire up live at some point. I'll let you know.
Yeah, you're getting used to home ownership. I like it.
I've been a homeowner since 2009, all right? Hasn't been a great one.
This vehicle has had more gun mile products put into it than any vehicle in the history of America.
It's still kicking, dude.
It's still kicking, dude.
Just needed a new transmission update.
Yeah.
Not a fix, just an update.
I mean, 230,000 miles.